No way. I sure as hell know the same way you couldn't let an innocent man be executed, that you can't shoot an unarmed man.
Neon, rain-slick streets. A black Ferrari Daytona idles under a flickering streetlight. Crockett and Tubbs step out. Pastel jackets, no socks, stone-cold faces. The night hums with danger and the city itself feels alive, pulsing to a synth heartbeat. This was the 80s, greed, glam, and gunfire. A city of cocaine and couture. And when Miami Vice hit television in 1984, it did not just show that world, it defined it. But behind the sunglasses and the swagger, not everything was as smooth as a Jan Hammer beat. Did Don Johnson almost walk off the set after one season? Did Michael Mann spend so much on music that NBC nearly pulled the plug? And was the pastel color palette really a printing mistake that changed TV forever? Tonight, we separate fact from fable in the show that turned primetime television into an art form. The story of Miami Vice starts not in Florida but in Hollywood with a man named Anthony Yerkovich. He was a writer on Hill Street Blues, a show praised for gritty realism. Yerkovich wanted to go further, a show about undercover cops fighting the drug wars of the 1980s, but with style, music, and moral ambiguity. He pitched NBC executives a simple idea: MTV Cops. The network bit. They needed something fresh, something flashy. And then they brought in producer Michael Mann, a perfectionist with a taste for neon and noir. Mann took Yerkovich's concept and built a world around it, a sun-bleached city that was beautiful and rotten at the same time. Fable. Mann invented Miami Vice alone. Fact. Yerkovich created it, but Mann made it legend. Mann demanded cinematic quality on a TV budget, a radical idea in 1984. He ordered that every episode look like a music video. No browns, no earth tones, and no harsh lighting. He even banned red from the set because it did not fit his palette. It worked. Audiences had never seen anything like it. Each episode was a mini-movie, stylized, moody, and dangerous. The show did not just reflect the 80s, it created them. Before Miami Vice, Miami was not exactly a Hollywood darling. The city had a reputation for crime and corruption, but Mann saw its potential. The architecture was decaying Art Deco, colorful, melancholic, perfect for a visual contrast to the violence in the scripts. Fable. The series was shot mostly in Los Angeles. Fact. Almost every episode was filmed on location in Miami, often without permits and under police protection. The city was so integral that it became a third main character. By the end of season 1, tourism in Miami had risen 10%. Local businesses begged to be featured on the show. Even the Miami police credited the series with helping rebrand the city from a crime capital to a pop culture destination. When the pilot aired on September 16, 1984, NBC executives did not know what to expect. The network was losing to CBS and ABC. Their lineup was a mess of sitcoms and game shows. Miami Vice was a risk, expensive, violent, and unlike anything else on TV. But it worked. The pilot drew 23 million viewers. Audiences were hooked by the style, the music, the fashion, the car chases. Critics called it a visual drug. Yet behind the scenes, the show's success came at a cost. The production budget was sky high, over $1 million per episode, double the average of the time. That is more than $3 million today. NBC was bleeding cash on this stylish experiment. Fable. NBC did not care about the cost because it was a hit. Fact, the network threatened to pull the plug several times during season 2 because of budget overruns. Michael Mann was infamous for demanding real Ferraris, not replicas. When the show started, they used a modified Corvette mock-up. Ferrari found out and sent 2 authentic Testarossas to the set on one condition: destroy the fake ones on camera. That explosion was not just television, it was Ferrari's revenge. Here is a popular urban legend. The pastel look of Miami Vice was an accident. A printing error in early promotional photos made the colors look washed out, and the network decided to keep it. Fable. The truth is much more man-made. Michael Mann and production designer Mel Bourne created a strict color Bible for the series. Only cool tones: blues, pinks, teals, and whites. They wanted viewers to feel the heat and the decay of Miami, but without the muddy look of other cop shows. This palette set a trend. Men ditched ties for t-shirts under blazers. Designers like Giorgio Armani and Versace sent free wardrobes to the set. Free advertising for them. Pure style for the show. By 1986, men's fashion magazines were calling it the Crockett Effect. Before Miami Vice, TV music was forgettable background noise. Then came Jan Hammer, a Czech-born composer with a synthesizer and a knack for emotion. His score turned car chases into operas. The theme song hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, a first for a TV instrumental since the 60s. But the real innovation was Mann's decision to license popular music. Phil Collins, Tina Turner, U2, Peter Gabriel, all featured on episodes. Each song cost tens of thousands of dollars, sometimes more than the actors earned. NBC executives were furious, but viewers loved it. Record sales spiked after each episode. When Phil Collins appeared as a drug dealer in season 2, his album sales jumped 40% overnight. Fable. Miami Vice was just a cop show. Fact, it was the first TV series to treat music as storytelling. Every legend starts with a face, or 2. For Miami Vice, those faces were Don Johnson and Philip Michael Thomas. But their casting stories, anything but smooth. NBC wanted a big-name star. The network courted everyone from Nick Nolte to Jeff Bridges, but both declined. Don Johnson, then known mostly for small TV roles and a failed film career, was their reluctant choice. Fable. Johnson was NBC's first pick. Fact, he was nearly rejected for being too volatile, too unknown. Once he got the role, he owned it. Johnson's charisma and quiet menace turned Sonny Crockett into a cultural icon. But off-camera, he was as unpredictable as the characters he played. Crew members whispered about long nights, fiery tempers, and a lifestyle that blurred the line between character and actor. Rumor had it Johnson lived on a yacht during filming. True. He kept a powerboat anchored in Biscayne Bay and spent weekends cruising Miami's real nightlife. As for Philip Michael Thomas, the man behind Ricardo Tubbs, he was charismatic, musical, and fiercely ambitious. He coined the term EGOT, Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony, to describe the awards he intended to win. Fable. He came close. Fact, he never won any, but his confidence helped define Tubbs's smooth style. Their chemistry on-screen was electric, even though off-screen it sometimes ran cold. Fable. Johnson and Thomas were close friends. Fact, they respected each other, but friction was constant, especially when paychecks and screen time entered the equation.
You're singing that Vice Cop blues again. What the hell is this?
Before Miami Vice, TV cops wore brown suits and cheap ties. After Miami Vice, they wore pastel linen and Italian shoes. This was not an accident. Michael Mann hired stylists from Vogue and designers from Milan to shape Crockett and Tubbs into fashion icons. Don Johnson's white jacket over a pastel t-shirt became a global trend. Armani's US sales doubled within a year of the show's debut. Rumor, the character's wardrobe came from props. Fable, NBC had a dedicated Armani budget. Johnson alone was fitted for over 100 custom jackets in Season 2. The clothes were not just style, they were storytelling. Crockett's pale colors symbolized corruption creeping into purity. Tubbs's darker palette mirrored the outsider perspective. Every visual choice had subtext. Even Crockett's pet alligator, Elvis, lounging on his boat. Comic relief. Yes, but also a symbol of danger beneath luxury.
Officer Tubbs, say hi to Elvis.
Then came the cars. The black Daytona, later replaced by the white Ferrari Testarossa, became almost as famous as the detectives themselves. Fable. The Daytona was real. Fact. It was a replica built on a Corvette chassis until Ferrari sent 2 authentic Testarossas and insisted the fake be blown up on camera. Every episode looked like a feature film. Man shot with long lenses, moody lighting, and almost no studio sets. He treated television like cinema, and it changed the industry. If style was the soul of Miami Vice, music was its heartbeat. Mann's rule was simple. If it doesn't sound cool, it doesn't air. He broke television convention by licensing mainstream pop songs, expensive ones. Phil Collins's "In the Air Tonight" was featured in the pilot, turning a slow-burn stakeout into a spiritual moment. That scene cost $30,000 in music rights alone, unheard of for TV in 1984. But the effect was mesmerizing. It set a template every show would follow for decades. Songs as storytelling. Rumor. Collins was so grateful he offered to appear on the show for free. Fact, he did play a drug dealer in Season 2, but NBC paid him handsomely for it. Jan Hammer's score deserves its own legend. Working alone in his home studio, Hammer produced soundtracks that made action feel poetic. Synths rising like heat over the ocean. His theme hit #1 on Billboard, making him the first TV composer since the 60s to do so. Fable. The score was performed by a band. Fact, it was one man and a bank of keyboards. The music budget ballooned to $10 million by Season 3, nearly crippling the production. NBC executives begged Mann to cut costs. He refused. For him, sound was character. Fable. The show went broke because of its music. Fact, the music saved it. When ratings slipped, the soundtrack albums kept the franchise profitable. 2 albums went platinum. Miami Vice was no longer just a TV show. It was a brand. By Season 3, Miami Vice was not just television, it was a lifestyle brand, a pop culture supernova, and a pressure cooker. Don Johnson, suddenly one of the most recognizable men on the planet, began to clash with producers over money, scripts, and creative control. Rumor said he demanded a private jet, a yacht, and a raise that made him the highest-paid actor on TV. Fable. NBC caved to all of it. Fact, they gave him the raise, $100,000 per episode, but cut perks quietly. Johnson's contract almost killed Season 4 before cameras even rolled. Philip Michael Thomas felt left behind. His screen time dropped, his solo music career stalled, and rumors of jealousy filled the trades. The tension bled into the show, their easy chemistry replaced by something colder, sharper, more real. Fable. The feuds ruined filming. Fact, they fueled it. That simmering hostility made the partnership feel dangerous again. Then there was Michael Mann's perfectionism. Episodes routinely went over schedule. Scripts were rewritten daily. Some nights they filmed until dawn, shooting single takes of cars gliding through neon reflections until the light hit exactly right. Crew members joked, "We don't shoot scenes, we paint them." But it came at a cost. Budgets ballooned, morale dipped, and the relentless pace burned everyone out. Fable. Miami Vice ended because ratings fell. Fact. It ended because exhaustion did. By season 5, Johnson wanted out, Thomas wanted more, and NBC wanted cheaper. The show bowed out in 1989, a stylish burnout rather than a collapse. Despite the drama, Miami Vice changed everything. It blurred the line between television and cinema, between realism and music video fantasy. Before it, cop shows were gray and procedural. After it, they were color-graded, scored, and emotionally choreographed. Fable. Miami Vice was all surface. Fact, it had moral depth few noticed. Every episode was a tragedy wrapped in style, heroes losing bits of their souls while chasing justice in a city built on illusions. Michael Mann once said, "The show isn't about crime, it's about what crime does to the people who fight it." The influence spread. Everywhere, fashion houses adopted the pastel palette. Filmmakers borrowed the synth-driven pacing. Police departments even complained that criminals started dressing better because of the show. Miami Vice earned 4 Emmys, 2 Golden Globes, and a permanent place in pop culture. But its biggest legacy was creative freedom. Networks realized style could be substance. Where are they now? Don Johnson parlayed his fame into films and a later career resurgence in Nash Bridges, Knives Out, and Watchmen. Philip Michael Thomas shifted to stage work and voice acting, lending his velvet tone to video games like Grand Theft Auto, Vice City, a digital love letter to the show that made him famous. Michael Mann moved on to cinema, crafting Heat, Collateral, and The Insider, each echoing Vice's visual DNA. Jan Hammer continued composing, his sound becoming shorthand for cool 80s energy. Even the city of Miami itself never shook the glow. Tourists still seek Ocean Drive just to stand where Crockett once brooded in linen. Even now, the myths refuse to die. Myth 1. All the guns on Miami Vice were real. Fable. Many were resin props modified for close-ups. Myth 2. Crockett's pet alligator Elvis bit a crew member. Fact, it happened once during season 2. The trainer quit the same day. Myth 3. The pastel color rule was broken only once. Fact, one rogue extra wore a red shirt in a nightclub scene. Mann personally had it color corrected out. Myth 4. Johnson's stubble inspired a razor company to create the designer beard. Partly true. Gillette ran a campaign based on it. When the final episode aired in 1989, Crockett and Tubbs walked away from their badges, exhausted, disillusioned, and done. No explosions, no victory, just silence and rain. That ending was not just for the characters, it was for everyone behind the camera. After 5 seasons of excess, sleepless nights, and creative brilliance, Miami Vice left the air the only way it knew how, in style. Fact, it redefined television. Fact, it influenced film, music, and fashion. Fact, it proved TV could look like art. Fable, it was just another cop show. 35 years later, the sound of that synth still echoes. A heartbeat from a decade of danger and dreams. And if you listen closely, somewhere out there, Crockett's Ferrari is still cruising the causeway. Next time on Rad Recaps, we trade the Miami Heat for California Speed. Did Knight Rider really feature a car that could think? Did David Hasselhoff nearly get replaced by a robot? And what happened to the original KITT after the cameras stopped rolling? We will separate the turbocharged truths from the studio smoke. Stay tuned because the 80s are not done yet.